Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Aidan.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And Charlie, it's great to have you back for a 17th season in a row.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. I'm just a little congested. I'm not dying. But no, it's great to be back. And thank you for having me back.
Oh, pleasure's mine.
Thank you.
And
Thank you all for having me.
There's something that you're allergic to?
Yes.
What's that?
Exercise.
I guess you ran a marathon then, and that's why you're congested.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and speaking of...
1 mile. That's it.
We have a brand new person on the panel here. He is one of our new recruits, and he has a pretty polished resume. He is a wrestler. He's an aspiring firefighter. He's an actor. He's published a novel.
I'm working on a novel.
You're working on a novel.
Yep.
He's working on a novel, and he's published a collection of what he calls para-horror and short stories and poems, which can be found on Wattpad. And Aidan, it is great to have you on board.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome, Aidan.
Welcome, Aidan.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your writing and your acting?
Yeah, so just like probably 2-ish years ago, I started writing more. I kind of surf, like, just where you said, like, Wattpad, I kind of surf there sometimes, but just because there's a lot of, like, rookie writers who just kind of write for fun, and I was like, it's casual, so I write some stuff on there sometimes. I do poems, I do para-horror, which the para-horror is, like, it's horror scenarios in, like, one paragraph. I'm writing a novel called Scars Make Us Who We Are, and it's about, like, where my writing is right now. I'm trying to maybe get something, like, published in maybe a college journal if I can in the next year or so, something like that.
And Scars Make Us Who We Are. Give me a general sentence as to what it's about.
It's this kid. His name's Adrian Ngosia. He is 14. He lives in Philadelphia, and his mother died when he was like 8, and ever since then, his stepfather has started to descend into drinking, and he's been abused. But when the novel starts, his stepfather just dies, and he's starting a new life in a foster home.
Wow.
Starts.
Captivating. That's a good concept. I think it's interesting.
I definitely would I'll keep my eye out for that.
Yeah.
Me three.
No, the arc.
Alrighty. Was there and as far as your acting's concerned, what kind of acting projects can we find you?
I already worked on another thing a while ago that might be done at the end of the summer. But if you guys are like looking at updates for that, my Instagram, which is Aidan Angel Official, is probably the best place to find that. And I am looking at doing some like background, maybe like extra work in a new film called Broken Redemption.
Oh.
Which is a sequel to another film called Broken, which is available to watch for free on YouTube, and you can also buy it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. I'll keep my eye out for that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes, it is. Today we're going to be going over, we're going to be revisiting a work all the way from Season 1. It was the second discussion that we had on our channel, and it was for James Joyce's Araby, which I first was introduced to it in my short story class, and when it was released, and for quite some time, it had more views than any of our other videos. And it has since fallen to 6th place overall. We have about 4,500 views for it, which is really good for what we do. But I don't know about, because Charlie and I were on the discussion together with Nicole and Christine, and I don't know about you, but I think I understand it much more this time.
The more you read it.
Yes, and I read the introduction for Dubliners, this particular copy. Brenda Maddox did the introduction. I generally don't read introductions when I go into reading a book because I like to read the work first and then come up with my own response and then compare and possibly strengthen the response that I have based off of hearing what someone else has to say, kind of like what we do here. But the discussion starter that I have is, according to Brenda Maddox's introduction on Dubliners that was published by Bantam Classics, while Joyce writes about his younger years growing up in Ireland, Dubliners itself is no exercise in nostalgia. It is a look back in anger. Joyce portrays his countrymen as drunks, cheats, child batterers, boasters, gossips, and schemers. Failures all. People who cannot take the chances life offers them and who, as in Araby, prevent the young from taking theirs. My discussion starter for this is, what kind of examples can you find for the youth found in Araby, unable to find and take the chances life has to offer them?
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, that's got to do with the premise that the main character in this story is looking for a way to impress the young lady that lives next door to him. And in order to do that, he wants to go to the festival called Araby and buy her something from there, and cannot do that because the adults in his life don't take his desire to do so seriously enough to make sure that he's able to get there on time.
I think she was the one that brought up Araby to him.
Yes.
And the reason she was not able to go was because she couldn't go because there would be a retreat at that week at her convent. So he, on his own terms, decided he was going to get her. He'd get her a gift while he was there.
Yeah, he
But-
wants to go there specifically for that purpose. That's why.
But by the time he gets there, it's late.
Yeah.
Most of the businesses are closed, and the people that are there really do not display good character. Customer service, let alone character.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
Yeah, but his uncle, right? Is it his uncle? It's been a while since I read it, but the male caretaker is he reminds him 2 or 3 times that he wants to go to this festival, but and he needs money to go, and his uncle, never does not get home until very late, and then he's reluctant to even give him the money, and it's like, you really get a sense of what it is like to be young and not in control of, to have no agency despite having a lot of desire to do things. You're completely reliant on parents and on adults for.
and you think that your parents are going to deliver and do what's best for you at all times, or if they're not able to, there's a reasonable explanation as to why. You're not processing or expecting that it's going to be for their own selfish reasons.
Their lack of care.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's, his uncle is he's a bumbling alcoholic. And, by the time he finally does concede to give him the money, because he believes that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's persuaded by the aunt.
Yes, he's eventually persuaded, but he could always resist the aunt's wishes and just stand his own ground and not want to fulfill what the boy wants. However, he decides, okay, I'll give him the money so that he can go.
Yeah. And in the gift, I don't remember what it was offhand, but I don't think it was a whole lot.
He didn't. Oh,
It was not a whole lot. Didn't cost a whole lot. So
he didn't buy the gift
Yeah.
though.
He didn't buy it. Yeah.
It's been a while
It was
since
turned off so much.
I read it.
And I think he realized.
read it a month ago.
Not only did he realize how they were,
Right.
but I think he also got a sense of who Mangan's sister was, or Manjit. I don't know if I want to say it's a hard G rather than a soft G.
I don't know.
Grammarly, just kidding.
I just say whatever I want for character names.
Okay.
I go with it.
Okay.
But still, I don't, and a lot of the Irish got a bad rap for a lot of drinking and all of the aforementioned, but that's not always true. And a lot of other nationalities get, I don't want to say it, but get crapped on for their own vices. But it's really, this kid has no independence. He has no freedom, and it's, as you were saying earlier, there was no support, or there was no agency for the, I'm fighting something, folks. Work with me here, but I'm with you on that. That's really what struck me the most, is because there's no, I don't think there's any autonomy for him.
Right.
And it's just do as you're told, and this is how you do it. This is why you do it. Don't ask any questions.
James Joyce had no, as far as James Joyce was commentating on his own nationality, and he had no positive thoughts about the people around him.
Right.
He was, and Dubliners is, as it said in the introduction, a negative depiction of the way that he saw Ireland and its people.
And the same could be said for every other nationality too. But being that this is Irish, kind of fits the bill.
You want to say something, Aidan?
I mean, I think I'd probably agree on what you guys were talking about. Like, it's just kind of him. He's angry about all the people back from where he used to live. I guess I'm not sure if he still lives there or not, or if he still lived there. He's long dead, I'm sure.
Yes, he is.
But I'm not. It's basically just a perfect moment in his life where he's like, that just kind of emphasizes how he feels about his childhood and just about all these people around him.
He left Ireland, though, eventually. He went to the United States for a period of time. I want to say, I don't know if he was in Paris. I know in the film Midnight in Paris, he did make an appearance among the other writers that were part of that group. Eventually, I think his last days he was in Switzerland.
Makes sense that he'd leave, though, because he's obviously not happy.
Yeah.
Yes. No, he is not happy.
The ongoing joke with Ireland is you don't see the sun very often because it's always raining and dull weather. And, I can explain, that's part of the reason why, probably. I mean, it's not in the book, but in the poem, but, it's just ongoing joke.
The, something that, what did you think about the fact that the only two characters that had names were Mangan and Mrs. Mercer, who were basically not even major characters at all? I don't even know if they were, because Mangan, his connection was that he was the sister's brother, and Mrs. Mercer was just somebody that, I want to say she lived in the apartment that the speaker was in, and she was gossiping with her friends.
I mean, maybe it's just kind of something that sticks in the speaker's mind. Just, like, sometimes you don't really need to give any characters names at all. It's just not necessary. But for this, it's kind of weird that you pick those specific characters. I get Mangan, but, it's probably because he's trying to say something just like, this is what our characters, like, they're remembering this specific name and not anybody else's for whatever reason. Maybe this is what's important to them and what they remember.
Yeah, because I think the thrust of the story really and what it's trying to convey is more of a feeling than a story, right? Because I think what he's trying to get across is that frustration of being unable to fulfill your desires. And I think that the names are kind of inconsequential. The people, even the girl who is the object of his desire, right? Her name is not relevant to the feelings that he's having. Right? It's because it's all about feeling frustrated.
Yeah.
It's that, and I think the names are just basically devices to keep just to give the story something to work on. And as far as the other characters are concerned, it could be applied to anybody in that circumstance, in his position, because it may not be step for step, but I think that there were probably a lot of people in Joyce's place that could relate to family that's poor, guardians that have problems with drinking, going somewhere that you had high expectations for and then being disappointed. This whole idea that the youth is meant to be pure and innocent, whereas that doesn't hold up among the adults.
And I think once you become an adult, and
I think that's the main part of the story, and I
Yeah.
think it has to. And I think that Joyce is touching upon the hypocrisy.
once you hit a certain age, it's the magic, all the fun, so it's going down the drain.
Mm.
And me personally, I still believe in Santa. I wait for him every Christmas Eve, but reality sets in, and it's. But I think if we all have that inner child, we can, enjoy life a little bit more. That's just me being whimsical and hopeful.
I personally think just the whole story is it's just his rage and resentment from everybody around him.
It's like would you say it's a manifesto?
Probably, just this specific story. It just feels like he's just bottling up all his anger from his childhood, or maybe just writing from what he saw when he lived in Ireland. Just bottling that all up and putting it in one story that just it oozes with resentment and anger from everybody just around him.
He wrote it down instead of having a drink.
He put it out. He put it in a lot of stories. I think Araby. I think it covers a certain faction, but I think the whole Dubliners collection is where he expresses himself, and he's had it rejected quite a few times before he finally did get it published, because they wanted a lot of omissions because of details that were viewed at that time as inappropriate.
It'd be interesting to read some more. This is all I've read from Joyce. Attempted Ulysses, but forget that, man.
You're talking about Finnegan's Wake?
Yeah, Finnegan's Wake. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we were going to go over that. It was my suggestion that we were going to go over that. But it's so incoherent that it's like...
Just go to a regular Irish wake.
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, people were talking in Irish dialect.
No, people were talking. I mean,
But,
the narrator was speaking in incoherent statements.
I mean, it was quite something, because when we put out that list, because we were ranking.
Yeah.
Professor Hartman, when she did the list next to Finnegan's Wake, she had no.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah.
And Don Levy was the same thing. Just don't do Finnegan's. And Don Levy's a loyal follower of ours.
Yeah. I made it through 2 chapters and I had no idea what was happening. Like nothing. Like it's incoherent. So his short stories at least are coherent in a sense where you can follow what's going on. So I would like to try a little more. Have you read much more?
Just the stories in Dublin.
Yeah.
You read The Dad. You were on that panel.
Yeah.
I've read more stories from Dubliners. I have not read any of his long works, but I do have 2 collections of his complete works, which it's Dubliners, and then the other, like Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, Finnegan's Wake, Ulysses.
I remember The Dead. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
But do we have any final thoughts?
I think I said what I needed to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not easy being a kid.
No. And back then there was no internet. Oh my God.
Especially in that society, I think that
Yeah.
he was in an unfair situation that wanted the youth to, or it was contradictory to what they wanted to actually accomplish. But you could also argue that it's a generational thing too.
Yeah.
They could put their money into major factions such as churches and Christian schools, but you have to be able to take care of people in order for them to be able to contribute positively to the community. You have to get. It has to be. You have to, in order to have some, and then just be able to practice what you preach too.
Well,
Thank you.
I mean, every person in a culture is going to be different and respond to whatever institutions exist there differently. So, but I think that what comes across in this story for me is like you said, it's a universal experience of being a kid unable to do what you want because the adults aren't interested.
And it's still
And
happening
I
today.
think that happens all the time.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
still
think that's
happening
uncommon.
today. There's even though we said earlier generational changes, it's just, there's a lot happening still, and I still feel a lot of youth are repressed today, and they have more outlets because yes, social media, yes, they have you know, more access to other, I guess you could say, resources out there, but there's still a lot of kids who are still repressed or
I think everybody can relate to this story
Yes.
of a kid
Mhm.
wanting to go somewhere and not being able
Yeah.
to because the adults in their life
Yeah.
either won't let them or
they don't have the means.
or just
whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
And
yeah.
it could be
I don't like how
they
she's
mean
dressed.
either they mean well or
Yeah.
they really it's the adults were the ones that made the mistake.
Yeah.
So,
But would you, because my way of perceiving this is that the speaker started out as being relatively innocent, but by the end realized the way of the world and being seeing that he was defeated by vanity and walked out in anguish and anger. Whereas Mangan's sister was more, she's on the border where she's going to a retreat at the convent, but yet desires something like Araby, which the way that I saw it is that she's either holding on to her own innocence, being forced by her family, or she's dipping into that life, or she already possesses it. And that's the realization from the speaker.
I think if I just had to sum up in like one sentence, I just say like shit's unfair when you're a kid. Like that's just period.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole point of the story. That's him realizing that, and he's leaving, and he's angry at the whole
Yeah.
world because of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's probably coming from somewhere, from the author at least.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
would
it's
too.
all, like the release, that at very end is that release of
Mm-hmm. I think that's 5 words that a high schooler could probably go into better in order to better understand this particular short story.
Yeah.
So, if you're interested in reading this story as well as the others from Dubliners, here is my copy. You could find this very easily. When I bought it, it was the price on the back is $4.95. I would imagine that if you get something like this, it's going to be relatively cheap.
publisher.
Bantam Classics.
Okay, man.
Alrighty then. Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
And eating.